Today we're talking about Plasma Pokemon in honor of the Black and White set that's going to be ending off the Scarlet and Violet era, that is Black Bolt and White Flare. We're going to be taking a look at some of the best cards in the entire Black and White era, and that's going to be Plasma Pokemon. Now, during Generation 5, the anime introduced a villainous organization called Team Plasma, and basically Pokemon that were corrupted under the influence of Team Plasma were sort of considered Plasma cards. Blue Border, Blue Lightning, generally a very vibrant card. Full arts, because alt arts weren't a thing back then, but still tons to look forward to in this set. So without wasting any time, let's get into today's video. Starting off with the GenC EX Team Plasma card. As you can see, the full arts have a really cool aesthetic here. Full on blue borders, the plasma symbol in the background, and lightning striking everywhere. And I also like how the actual Pokemon sort of coming out beyond the borders of the card, which is quite fantastic. Interesting choice, I guess. It makes sense that it's actually a grass type because GenC is a bug steel type, so very cool artwork. One of the best artworks for sure for GenC, apart from the Fusion Strike breakdancing GenC alt art. But take a look, there is no near mint filter for this card, so we'll just have to look at the recent sales here where they actually qualify as NM. So obviously you can see there is a bit of sort of doubt that can be placed into this NM because it has less value than the LP. Most often when cards are this old, it's unlikely that you're going to find them in a pristine condition or a gem condition or even near mint condition, which is often why you're not going to see near mint sales. But if you could find a true near mint, it's often worth paying extra for because of the added bonus of possibly getting a PSA 10, which would produce tremendous gains for a person. Next up we have the Gueritina. Not as great of a picture here on TCG Player, but a really nice Pokemon to receive a Team Plasma variant. If we take a look at this card, we're gonna see a few of these cards where they don't actually have the near mint filtering, as you can see here. So if you try and check eBay, they're often even more horrendous when it comes to the state of the cards, even though they are self-qualified as near mint. So we'll take a look at the LP sales, even though we can't see the LP graph. We have a $90 sale, we have a 72, 69, 50, so we also have a 65. So we see generally it's been going up, but obviously with the return of Black and White, some of these cards might be receiving a little bit more attention, but they're also one of a kind cards, right? You don't really see this sort of full on blue full arts anywhere else. And since I started collecting Black and White, my first plasma card was this Lugia EX, regular Lugia EX, not the full art, but it was completely shriveled. I still have it to this day. It's a wonderful memory for me when I started collecting, but I still have that, and it still is as vibrant as ever despite being bent out of shape in multiple areas. Next up we have Thunderous, and as y'all know, we are getting another Thunderous in the Black Bolt ETB as a promo card. So we're seeing the actual sort of OG plasma version here. I definitely like the plasma over the regular sort of full arts that the weather Pokemon got over the generation, but this one actually has yellow lightning mixed with blue lightning, perhaps due to Thunderous itself being an electric type. But finally we get a near mint graph here. So we see over the past year $25 all the way up to $60, and then taking a look at recent sales, we can see that there aren't too many here, but there are a few at least. So we have a near mint right here, $62. We also have a 54. Obviously I would expect a pristine copy to go well above that $60 price range, because obviously the chance for the PSA 9 or 10 gives you a good advantage when it comes to collecting the card. Next up we have Getus from Team Plasma. This is sort of the boss for the entire organization, alongside and in a sort of twisted manner, as they sort of shown the anime and in the video game. So right here we have the actual boss of the organization, so the first trainer we're seeing on this list, and this card has been dropping a little bit from $67 all the way down to $62. And then taking a look at this card, we see recent sales of a $70 sale, a $79 sale, so going above that pricing over here. So perhaps those were a little bit better, in a little bit of a better state. I still wouldn't expect it to be PSA 10 quality, of course, but we also saw a couple of Getus cards as boss's order, right? During Paldea Evolved, we got the Altar, we got the full art, and I honestly gotta say I like that full art a bit more than the other two, which is kind of crazy. Next up, Darkrai, I'd say one of the best Pokemon introduced during Generation 4, one of my favorites for sure. We have the Plasma, and then this one has this sort of teal background here, plus the blue border just gives a very nice effect to the black slash dark gray of Darkrai here. Taking a look at recent sales, so the best I could do was a lightly played graph here, so let's just take a look at that. $21 all the way up to $40, and then recent sales for that LP is sort of going up now, right? $99.99, right? So it's $100, $80.99, $68. Given the variance in those recent sales, I would expect varying quality levels, but generally we see that upward trajectory for this card. It's also interesting to note that this is a promo card, so it could be commanding a lower valuation compared to some of the pullable cards further down on the list, because I think that this is a solid contender for like third place or even like second place for in terms of all of the plasma cards, but yet it sits in 6th place for now. Articuno is a cool one because it actually gets a different background too, so it's got a white sort of blizzard effect, and then it's fully blue, so I guess it's to produce a bit of a contrast at least, and it works really well. Of course, the deep blue hues are fantastic on this card, and then we finally got a near mint again here, so $56 all the way up to $82, 45% growth. And if we take a look at recent sales in the LP, 106, 103, $90, 89. We recently also got Articuno in the Journey Together set. I have to say they both command their own unique beauty to them, and I wouldn't actually compare one against the other. They're both really nice, but if you're an Articuno collector, you know, having these two cards would be an amazing addition to your collection. Not to mention that 151 had the Master Balls in Japanese, so that is a really cool one as well. Next up we have Culus. This is impressively one of the most expensive trainer cards in English, right? Culus, it's usually females that command a higher price tag when it comes to Pokemon TCG, but Culus seems to sneak in there and be one of those more expensive cards generally speaking. And then we can actually filter here for near mint. So if we take a look at recent sales, we have 90, 90, 105, 100, 100. So going up a little bit here in terms of the current sales, but it's been going down from about $107 all the way down to 96, so not a huge drop, about 7%, but it is good to note that trainers are not really that hot right now. They are coming down, but if you are a trainer collector, then this could be a prime opportunity to keep an eye out on some of those older trainer cards, some of those desirable trainer cards, because overall trainers are not as favorable in English or Japanese as they were sort of during the beginning of Scarlet by the end of Sword and Shield time. Coming down to the number 3 spot, we have the Diagga EX. Very cool. We got Dialga and Palkia, so we'll show them off together. Recent sales for this card do not have really that many near mints, but we do have a few here. So we have a $96 sale over here. We have a $105 sale over here. And then recent trajectory from MP is going from 24 up to 44. As you can see, you know, worse condition cards can actually go up, but also bear in mind that if you're sort of applying the philosophy of getting like LP/MP cards from modern cards, they're less likely to have the same trajectory as these sort of cards like the Dialgas and the cards from Black and White and so forth, because cards were not taken care of in the same way that they are now. People immediately sleeve the cards, top loader them, binder them, card saver them, send them off to grading, right? They're a humongous population count for PSA 10s and 9s when it comes to modern cards versus these older cards. That is something to bear in mind. It's not, for me, it's not the end of the world. If I really want a card and I have to get it in LP, I get it in LP, especially if it's like X and Y or before, because it's just not feasible to get the NM for every single card. But also to find it is quite difficult to do so. And once in a while, you might find like a good collection of those near mint cards, in which case it's obviously an amazing idea to grab them, but at the same time it's good to note that you can experience growth in the LP area as well, while making a fun addition to your collection. Next up, the counterpart from the Pearl games, we have Palkia, the Ruler of Space, and a fantastic card too. It has a bit more contrast than the Dialga, and I think it works here better. This card is, of course, wildly expensive, $103, but if we take a look at the PSA 10 price, we can see quite the uptick in value, right? PSA 10 population count of 27, but even if you got a PSA 9, you're sitting quite pretty there with a population count of 133, still boosting up the price of the raw card right there. And then finally, we have the Lugia EX from Team Plasma, my personal favorite, and it's not because it's the most expensive. I just genuinely, my favorite legendary apart from Suicune is Lugia, so I do really like this card. Very amazing artwork. And then taking a look at it over the past year, for near mint, finally we have a near mint, $142 all the way up to $253. Of course, it did come down briefly in October, so this was its low point of $103, and it's grown overall 77%, so it's currently retailing for $253. That's an immense jump for this card. And then taking a look at its PSA pricing, it too is quite expensive, $3,175, 20 population count, but the PSA 9 does even better than the Palkia, $712, and population count of 280. And then this is, of course, one of the most expensive Lugia cards in English that are in existence. So, of course, this is going to command a decent price point as one of the more popular Pokemon out there as well. If we take a look at its recent sales, of course, raw 185, we have 200, but there's not really a great way to tell. 185 for LP, we have a 200 here, not really specified. And then we have another raw here, LP, MP. So there are a couple of sales here to keep an eye out for. The PSA 9 just sold for $749. So this is a very, very expensive card and the most expensive card of the Plasma series. And it also comes in one of the most expensive sets in Black and White, which is Plasma Storm. This set actually carries some of those top cards that we just saw in terms of the Plasma cards, but they also had fantastic secret rares as well. So we had this Charizard, Blastoise. As you'll notice, they're a different color, and the reason is they are shiny, so there were secret rare cards with gold borders that were shiny. But we also see 3 plasma cards here, a couple other like smaller plasma cards as well. So this was one of those main expensive sets from this era, and it was also, interestingly, if you don't know, the first set to introduce a ETB. I just thought it would be a fun fact to sort of show that off, but this is the first ever ETB that ever came into existence in the Pokemon TCG. But that will do for today's video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to the Black and White set that's going to be coming out, and I thought it'd be really interesting to take a look at the trajectory of some of the most iconic cards from this entire era, plasma cards. And so now that we've seen them, not only is a set like Legendary Treasure primely positioned to be experiencing growth, but other cards like these plasma cards are also in a good position. If you're interested in hearing my takes on Legendary Treasure and what the best cards from that set are, take a look at this video over here. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next one.